Good evening. The government has approved cruise missile testing in Canada. Ottawa told the United States tonight that it's okay to launch the unarmed cruise in northern Alberta starting in January. And over the next 5 winters, it can make about 30 test runs. The decision surprises no one, but it's still filled with controversy. Mike Duffy reports.
For months now, a handful of anti-cruise missile protesters have been operating this makeshift peace camp on the lawns of the Parliament buildings. Today, as they continued their vigil, the federal cabinet was meeting in the Prime Minister's office across the street, putting the final touches on an agreement to test the cruise.
No cruise! No cruise!
Deputy Prime Minister Alan McEachin and Defense Minister Gilles Lamontagne waded through a crowd of chanting protesters to make the official announcement.
We have decided today to respond positively to the request of the government of the United States.
McEachin said, as a democracy, which is a member of both NATO and NORAD, Canada is obliged to do its share to help its allies.
We believe that we have a place in the West, in the councils of the West, and that we have an obligation to fulfill our commitments.
The tests will be carried out over largely unpopulated areas of northern Canada. McEachin says there is no question of any threat to the safety of Canadians. He likens the cruise missile to an ordinary jet plane.
Because it is unarmed, and therefore it has negligible capacity to inflict harm in itself or damage on Canada or its people or its environment.
I had such questions from students, from people in the public asking me why Canada allows to explode an atom bomb in Canada.
Defense Minister Gilles Lamontagne says many Canadians don't understand that it is the cruise guidance system, not the nuclear warhead, that will be tested in Canada.
What a flabby performance.
New Democrat Pauline Jewett condemned the decision in no uncertain terms.
Isn't this typical? Parliament's not in session. 6 o'clock on a Friday afternoon, they make the announcement, hoping you're not around either. You know, typical sleazy liberal tactics. And as I say, the reason the Prime Minister isn't here is that I think even he realizes that he's deceived us.
The Conservatives don't object to the tests, but Flora MacDonald would have liked the decision delayed so as to give more time for the Geneva disarmament talks. And MacDonald says if Prime Minister Trudeau were serious about disarmament, he'd get personally involved.
I mean, he could do a lot of the negotiating if he really wanted to, and Canada could take a lead part in this.
The ministers hope today's decision has put the cruise controversy behind them. That seemed a little bit like wishful thinking as McEachin and Lamontagne tried to slip out of their news conference through a back door, and as the protesters headed back to their peace camp to keep up the anti-cruise vigil. Mike Duffy, CBC News, Ottawa.